Good afternoon, and welcome to the Forest Hills High School introduction and recognition of our 2014 Distinguished Alumni as selected by the Forest Hills Alumni Association. You will hear today that our honorees are truly distinguished individuals who had a vision and believed in their goals, dedicating themselves to achieving success. Would you please join me in welcoming our honorees? At this time, I ask everyone to rise for the singing of our national anthem by our high school chorus. Please remain standing for the singing of the Forest Hills Alma Mater. Thank you, Mr. Parlock, and members of our chorus. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the Forest Hills Alumni Association and our former Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Donald Bailey. Mr. Bailey has spent his entire professional career serving the students, athletes, and community of the Forest Hills School District. Mr. Donald Bailey is a 1969 graduate of Forest Hills High School. During his 38-year tenure at Forest Hills, he served as a classroom teacher, assistant high school principal, director of secondary education, and finally, superintendent of schools. Mr. Bailey is a lifelong resident of the Forest Hills School District. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to turn the program over to Mr. Donald Bailey.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Forest Hills Alumni Dedication and Ceremony within the Forest Hills School District. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of Forest Hills. Many of you probably aren't aware of where all this began. Prior to 1960, we had school districts in South Fork, Beaverdale, Wilmore, and Adams. In 1962, South Fork, Beaverdale, and Wilmore joined to form Triangle Area Schools. Then in 1966, under a state mandate, Triangle area and Forest Hills joined to become the Forest Hills School District. Now these lights are pretty bright in my eyes here, I can't see my notes. We have had many success stories with graduates of the Forest Hills School Districts. We are honored today to have 3 of those people with us, 3 of our distinguished alumni. They were all students at Forest Hills in the Forest Hills School District. They lived in RD1 South Fork or St. Michael, just like many of you live in one of the small communities in the Forest Hills School District. They are individuals that made the most out of their education opportunities and the opportunities presented to them at Forest Hills and later on in college and in the professions that they chose. They've certainly made all of us in the Forest Hills School District proud to have known them. The individuals chosen for this award have made significant contributions to mankind in the area of business, law, and education. They are ordinary people who have accomplished extraordinary things during their careers. The first person that I would like to introduce to you is attorney Cynthia Donnell. Many of you have seen her on TV commercials. She is a '67 graduate of the very first class of Forest Hills. And while she was at Forest Hills, she participated in the band, was a class officer and homeroom officer, and was a member of the National Honor Society. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree and Master of Arts degree in speech communication from Penn State University. She received her Juris Doctor degree from Duquesne University Law School. She is licensed to practice law in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Cynthia currently is a partner with Edgar Snyder and Associates and is one of their 4 major shareholders. She was the first lawyer hired by Edgar Snyder when he started this group in 1983. Over the past 30 years, Edgar Snyder and Association has grown from 2 lawyers to over 140 employees in 5 locations. The firm currently employs 29 lawyers. Attorney Dannell has the AV preeminent rating from Martindale-Hubbell, the highest possible rating based on legal ability and general ethical standards. She made the list of Pennsylvania super lawyers, an honor awarded to the top 5% of the state-wide lawyers from 2005 to 2014. Attorney Dannell has also been honored on the super lawyers list of top 50 women lawyers in Pennsylvania from 2008 to 2014. In addition, she was included in the list of top 100 attorneys in Pennsylvania from 2011 to 2014, and one of the top 50 attorneys in Pittsburgh from 2009 to 2014. Attorney Dannell was named Best Lawyers 2012 Pittsburgh Lawyer of the Year for personal injury litigation. She was also named a Penn State Alumni Fellow in 2009. Attorney Dannell is highly respected in the legal community and has been interviewed by the media on a variety of topics related to the injury law on PLNC station. She is a frequent lecturer on numerous topics, including changes in the law on automobile insurance, demonstrative evidence, and uninsured motorist coverage issues. She has traveled to local high schools in Western Pennsylvania to speak on the topics of driving dangers and injury prevention. Attorney Dannell has handled thousands of cases over the years and still treats the problems of her clients as the problems of her own. She's respected as a skilled trial lawyer and a strong advocate to her clients. She holds the highest ratings from national peer review organizations and even higher ratings from her clients. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Attorney Cynthia Dannell.
Well, good afternoon. I'd like to thank Dawn and the other committee members on the Forest Hills Alumni Association for this award. And I'm very honored and humbled to receive this Forest Hills Distinguished Alumni Award. Dawn mentioned that I was in the band. The last time I was on this stage, I was playing snare drum in that corner. That was a long time ago, almost 50 years ago. It was in this, can you imagine, this building is that old, let alone me. But I've been very lucky. I've had a very successful career. I'm still going strong. I think if I had to tell you guys one bit of advice, it's that nobody who's successful gets there by themselves. I sure didn't. When I was in high school here, right in this building, I had a lot of teachers who took extra care to make sure that I had a good education. And I'm sure most of these teachers are deceased by now, but I want to say who they were because I've never acknowledged them. There was a Mr. Plummer. He taught me Algebra 2 and physics. Mr. Sunderland taught me chemistry. Miss Martinage taught me 3 years of Spanish. And Mr. Mazouras, one of my favorites, taught me trig and Algebra 1, and I can't remember, I'm sure something else. I think earth science. You might wonder how I would remember their names after 50 years. And it's easy, because they had a profound effect on my life. I was the first one to go to college in my entire family. Nobody on my dad's side, nobody on my mother's side, and I mean, I had 70 cousins. Nobody before me had gone to college. So for me to go to college, I didn't even know where to start. But this high school, and I was in the first graduating class of Forest Hills High School. But this high school prepared me to compete at Penn State with all those kids from giant high schools, from New York, from New Jersey, from Maryland, from Ohio, giant wealthy high schools. And I did okay. Surprisingly, I did okay. And the reason I did okay is that Mr. Mazouras and Mr. Plummer and Miss Martinage, Mr. Sunderland, they taught me how to study. They taught me what it takes to study hard enough to get good grades. And despite what you may hear on media, that certain people just get lucky and they become very successful, I have never met one of those people. They may tell you that, but behind that is a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. And work is different depending on what your specialty is. If you're a football player, and I see a bunch of you in the front here, your hard work to be a good football player is probably a lot different than some of the kids here who might be in the National Honor Society and are very proud of that. Not to denigrate one type of hard work over another. They're both hard work, and you both see the results of it. So anyway, I guess in closing, I want to thank Forest Hills, because there's an old saying, and it says, "So how the twig is bent, the tree shall grow." And my twig, when I graduated from Forest Hills when I was 17 years old, and I had never been further than Washington, D.C. in my life, and had never been to Penn State, had been to Pittsburgh once, so you talk about a babe in the woods. Forest Hills High School prepared me to the best of its ability and prepared me well enough to compete, to excel, and to succeed in everything I've tried. And I owe it in large measure to this school. And I'd like to thank a special thanks to all the teachers who I know carry on the tradition of the Mr. Sunderlands and the Mr. Plumbers and the Mr. Mazurses and Miss Martinages, who really cared about their kids, really cared about them, and helped them as much as they possibly could. Thanks again for the honor.
Our next honoree is Dr. Thomas C. Jenkins, who was a 1969 graduate of Forest Hills. While at Forest Hills, Dr. Jenkins, played the trumpet in the Forest Hills marching and jazz bands. He was also on the county band and district band, and was also a member of the National Honor Society. He graduated from Penn State University in 1973 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Animal Science, and received his Master's of Science degree from Penn State in Nutrition in 1975. He received his PhD in Nutritional Biochemistry from Cornell University in 1979. Dr. Jenkins served as a postdoctoral research associate as an assistant professor at Ohio State Agricultural Technology Institute from 1979 to 1986. He served as an assistant professor at Clemson University from 1986 to 1991, and was an assistant professor at Clemson from 1981 to 1994. He served as a professor at Clemson University from 1994 to 2012. He is currently a retired professor emeritus at Clemson University. Dr. Jenkins is arguably the preeminent agricultural scientist currently working in the area of lipid metabolism of ruminants. Now, I don't know what that all means. His research is recognized nationally and internationally for the seminal contributions to our understanding of lipid metabolism, especially in dairy cattle. Tom has published 6 book chapters, 103 referred science reports, and 123 abstracts presented at national and international academic meetings. During the course of his career, he has given over 120 invited presentations in 8 countries on 4 different continents. At the same time, he is highly regarded by Clemson undergraduate and graduate students for his courses in principles of animal nutrition, ruminant nutrition, and animal biogenetics. Dr. Jenkins has received several career awards for his creative teaching and research, including the Clemson University Board of Trustees Award for Faculty Excellence, American Feed Industry Award, the Penn State University 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award, and most recently being named a fellow by the American Dairy Science Association. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Dr. Thomas C. Jenkins.
Well, thanks very much. My pleasure to be here. It's always fun to come back. But I never, in my wildest imagination or dreams, thought it would be coming back here in this event, this capacity. So it's very much my honor, my pleasure to be brought in alongside these 2 ladies and their wonderful accomplishments. And let me also say thanks to the Alumni Association, Mr. Bailey, and to Patty Slyko, who I haven't seen since I graduated here, but for some reason she thought I was worthy enough to submit my name for nomination, and for that I'm very, very grateful. So you picked up a little bit of that, my career has been in the animal and veterinary sciences throughout my whole time at Clemson University. And I really got interested in that and started in it right here in this school because I had 2 things on my mind. And you can tell I didn't have much responsibility because I only had two things to worry about. And one was to be here at school, and the other one was a job. And I got a job when I was 11 years old working on a farm close to where I grew up in Gramlingtown, Liberty Park area. And every minute that I wasn't coming to school here at nights and on weekends or during the summers, I was going up to that farm and I was working. And I worked there. I started working there for $1 a day. And I worked there till I graduated from high school at 18 years old. So it's 7 years I worked there, and I ended up at the end making the same pay that I did when I started, $1 a day. But I saved enough money over that to almost pay for my first year, 2 years of college. Yeah. Today I don't think I could even buy a meal with it. Yeah. So what it did for me is it gave me a goal, and it got me turned on to animal health and husbandry and their care, and I wanted to become a veterinarian. That was my goal. There was nothing else that I wanted. And I knew I had to do good right here if I was going to have any chance at that. So I fought my way through chemistry. I fought my way through math as hard as I could, because there was one thing that I wanted: to become that veterinarian. So this school enabled me to take the next step and got me into Penn State, enrolled in their pre-veterinary science program. And so then I'm a senior, and the letter comes in the mail from the University of Pennsylvania Veterinary School. And my mother opened it up, read it to me over the phone, and it says, "Thank you very much for your application, but we regret to inform you that you have not been admitted." So my world was done. It was shattered. All my dreams fell apart. What was I going to do now? Well, I worried about that for about one night. Then the next day, I said, where do we go from here? So I said, I'm going to go to graduate school. So I submitted an application to graduate school at Penn State for a master's degree, and I got accepted. And I said, I'll go here get my master's degree. The veterinary school will take me once I get my master's degree. So I worked on my master's degree, and then I got turned on to the teaching and research that went on with that program, and never looked back at veterinary school again. And then I kept going, got a PhD at Cornell University, and then that's how it ended up with me staying in that career for 30 years. I've been in Clemson. And if you don't know anything about Clemson University, you can watch us on TV every year. We're the team that gets beat by Florida State every year. So it's easy to spot us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, what opened the door? Why am I here? What opened the door? Penn State or Cornell was not going to let me in. Clemson was not going to accept me as a faculty member unless they were convinced I had a good degree. And I got my PhD at Cornell, and they were convinced. Cornell was not going to let me in unless they were convinced I had a master's degree from a good school. So I got a master's degree at Penn State, and they let me in. Penn State was not going to let me in unless they knew I got a good degree from a high school. So one of the people that nominated for this award was one of the most distinguished scientific scholars in the United States. And Mr. Bailey probably saw those and wasn't aware of that. But he's got awards from every scientific association in the United States, and we sat down together and we said, what makes this award so special considering all the others that we got? We said, because it started here. If we're not successful right here, right now, today, the rest may not happen. And it happened for me because everything started here, and because, like Cindy said, there was a whole faculty of dedicated teachers that wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity. So actually, I feel like I'm back here today only to say thanks to the faculty and those teachers, and to show them that I've done something with what they gave me. Because I walked out of the school with nothing. You know, the food that I was eating, where I was living, what I was driving, all belonged to my parents. I had nothing of my own. The only thing I had was the education that this school gave me. And then it was up to me. And I had lots of stumbles along the way. But you fight your way around those and you keep moving along. So my pleasure very much to be able to come back to school, visit with you, and share some of my thoughts with you. And I hear that there is a football game going to break out behind the school here later today. So this is a great weekend for me. This is really great. Nothing's going to change that, but there's one thing that can make it better, and if that's Forest Hills wins tonight, all right? That's what I need here to make it good. Thanks very much, Mr. Bailey.
Tom, also, I'd like to have that happen tonight, too. And I'm sure all those boys that are wearing those green jerseys would like to see that happen tonight, as well as all the students that support them. Our next honoree is Catherine Peters Arnold, who was a 1983 graduate of Forest Hills High School. While in high school, Kathy was involved with a lot of activities. She was a member of the Humanitarian Club, was a member of the Student Council, was a member of the Ski Club, was a member of the chorus, participated in the Junior Miss competition, ran cross country and track. She was a cheerleader and also a member of the National Honor Society. Catherine attended and received a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing in 1987 from the University of Pittsburgh. She then received her Master of Health Administration and her Master of Business Administration degree from the University of Pittsburgh in 1990. She began her professional career as a registered nurse in a cardiothoracic intensive care unit at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and Shadyside Hospital from 1985 to 1990. She also served as an intern in the Office of Strategic Planning at Johns Hopkins System in Baltimore, Maryland. Catherine moved to the business end of healthcare management as she served as a senior consultant for Ernst & Young in Pittsburgh from 1990 to 1991. She then joined a healthcare management consulting practice of Booz Allen Hamilton of Bethesda, Maryland, and New York as a senior associate, where she participated in strategies and marketing from 1991 to 1995. From 1995 to 1999, she served as Director, Business Development, Strategic Planning, and Marketing roles at Hoffman & LaRoche in Nutley, New Jersey. At Hoffman & LaRoche, she ran a U.S. development departments where she supported business development transactions with potential dollar values at hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. From 1999 to 2004, Catherine worked for Sanford C. Bernstein in New York, as Vice President, Senior European Pharmaceutical Analyst. From 2004 to 2013, Catherine worked for Credit Suisse as the Managing Director, Senior U.S. Pharmaceutical Analyst, where she led equity research coverage of U.S. pharmaceutical majors and select specialty pharmaceuticals and biotechnology stocks encompassing over $700 billion in market capitalization. In 2013 and currently, Catherine serves as Vice President, Global Pharmaceutical Investment Analyst at the prestigious Wellington Management Company in Boston, Massachusetts. Catherine recommends global pharmaceutical equity investments for the firm's research client portfolios, current healthcare investments with approximately $100 billion, or 20% of total funds at Wellington. Catherine was promoted to associate partner only 10 months after joining the firm. She also received the firm's prestigious Wolf Award, which symbolizes a unique contribution of individual performance and teamwork. Catherine rose to the top of U.S. and global pharmaceutical analysts, which led her to employment with Wellington, one of the most successful and admired institutional money managers in the world, and probably one of the hardest places in the world to be hired as a senior role. Wellington manages more than $500 billion in equities globally, and they rely on Catherine to make the right investment decisions for all of their clients. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Catherine Peters Arnold.
I always have to put the microphone down. I'm really touched to be here. I have a lot of fond memories of Forest Hills, and I'm one of 6 kids, and over a 10-year period of time, that means I know a lot of families from the area, and I know there's a lot of wonderful people with a lot of integrity, enthusiasm, and very smart people. So the fact that I was chosen to be here is hugely important to me, and I'm honored. So anyway, I wanted to share with you some lessons learned from my time at Forest Hills and of the 30 years since I've left. It's really timely for me because I have 5 kids, and my oldest, who's a junior in high school, at a high school very similar size as Forest Hills, is here with me today. And so I really know where I'm thinking right now about where you're coming from. And my firm, Wellington Management, which is a private investment firm, as Dawn mentioned, has a really wonderful tradition, and it's the most senior partners come back every year, and they have this, it's called Lessons Learned, and they reflect on what they've done, what they've learned and what they've done wrong. And it's funny because you look at them and you think, my God, they're so successful, and they're telling me all the things that they didn't know. And the truth is, there's a lot at every stage in life that has to be learned. And there's so many things that when I sat in your shoes, I wish I would have known that I know now. So anyway, today I wanted to do that and share with you what I've learned. So the first thing that I've learned is that you can really do whatever you want. And even if you haven't figured out what that is right now, you should. There are clues, and you really can. I know it may sound hokey, but when I was in your shoes, I didn't know what a stock was, quite frankly, and a portfolio manager. Well, what was that? I really had no idea. I started out as a nurse, and what I did know is that I loved healthcare and I love the sciences. So that was one piece of direction. I knew that I wanted to live. I wanted to live in a city. I had the fortune with Forest Hills Student Council going to Pittsburgh and living with a family for a couple days, and going to Dallas, Texas with the cheerleaders, and we won 2nd place in the nation. And that led me to New York City on another trip, which is a long story I don't have time to tell you, but it's very funny. But I was so curious about the world, and it all started with some experiences that I had here, and I wanted to see what city life was like. Didn't know if I'd like it or not, but so I knew healthcare, I knew where I wanted to head, and I knew that I wanted to have financial independence. And my father, by the way, told me that I was going to college whether I liked it or not, and I had to figure out how to pay for it. But so that was the breadcrumbs that I had in front of me, and one thing led to another. And what a portfolio manager is essentially, I make choices every day about what, on behalf of individual investors and employees who give us money to manage. They give us the fiduciary responsibility to help their retirement monies, and I have to decide where the best places to put that are. And so, that's a real honor and a privilege. And it all started with my love for science, and then figuring out that science and business intersected, and then working for a drug company, and that opened a whole other set of things I didn't know. And then figuring out that I can actually make a difference on Wall Street because I can help direct money to places where the science is really percolating, areas like cancer and Alzheimer's, and that role is very important too. So I didn't know any of that. I probably didn't even know it 10 years ago. And so keep your eyes open and start with what you know and go from there. The other thing I'd tell you is every day is a chance to start fresh. You may regret some decisions you've made along the way, but you can wake up tomorrow morning and you can change your direction and your thought. On my jobs on Wall Street, my boss used to say, you're only as good as your last call. And it's true, because I may have chose to buy 10 stocks yesterday, and I wake up and the facts have changed. And I can be stubborn and put my heels in and say, I want to still be right, but the truth of the matter is I'm going to lose my clients' money, and that's not a good idea. So be fresh to what the new circumstances are, your new ideas, and what you want to do with your life. And remember, you can change. Every day is a new chance. A third piece of advice I'd say for you is to set high goals, and you'll go further. I never get my list done. I always have a list of places I want to go, things I want to do, whether it's on a daily basis, a monthly basis, or a yearly basis, but it pushes me further, and I encourage you to do the same. A fourth piece of advice is always say yes. If you're given a big opportunity, you can figure it out later. And the reason is that sometimes people see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And most of the time, if you're asked to do something big, a big job, a privilege, it's probably because you deserve it, and you may not even see it yet yourself. So say yes to all of those ideas. I've had some crazy things happen to me where I happened to meet Newt Gingrich. It's another long story, that's not enough time, but he invited me to join a panel on innovation and investing in innovation to make sure that new drugs came and Congress was supportive of that. When I got the call, I thought, what? And I showed up and I contributed just as much. And so there are so many situations where we have a lot to offer and we don't necessarily see it in ourselves. I'd also say play to your strengths and work on your weaknesses. We're always self-editing in our life and so aware of the things we want to do better, but we do a lot of things really, really well. And I've definitely learned that in my life, and I would just really encourage you to think about what you know. On Wall Street, I was working at a drug company and I got a call to join Wall Street. Again, surprised by the call, and the more and more I looked into it, the more and more excited I got about it. But you feel, sometimes in life you feel like the fraud squad's there, why am I here? And the truth of the matter is, I knew a lot about the drug industry, and the best way to invest in industry is to know it inside and out. And many of my competitors today don't have that experience. So while I was tentative at first, I realized that was a huge strength that I had relative to my competition. And I'll get the track record and I'll get the experience, and it happened. So that was another lesson. And then also find your brand and really, really, really own it. There's nothing more attractive than someone who's confident in themselves, who has a passion about what they do, and it provides all sorts of opportunities on its own. Through some of the work I've done in the drug industry and investing in the drug industry, I've been invited to speak on many, many occasions on national television and talk to the head of Fox News about working on a plan for addressing healthcare in the media and dealing with what his business needs were. It's been a real privilege, and it's because I really found something and I just owned it. And also some of the strength I got from Forest Hills, where as Dawn told you all the things I was involved in, I'm a very curious person and I'm always want to sort of touch everything, and athletics was a big part of that too for me. And it's kept me grounded and sane, and it's the energy, and people know that. I have a lot of energy and tenacity. And I started that, it came from here. And that's absolutely been a rock in my life. Only a couple more lessons, I'm almost done. But the one I'd say is see the world. Travel is the best teacher ever. Even if you just have decided you want to stay right here for the rest of your life, and that's a grand decision, you'll even appreciate it more by seeing the rest of the world. The opulence and the homelessness of the cities, the peace and the sort of gravity of being in the country and the solitude is so powerful, and it stays with you forever. This is something that came up earlier, another lesson, which is pivot when life doesn't go as planned. When you don't get into the school you want to get into, you don't get the job you want to have, when something really bad goes wrong, take your day, pout if you must, then go back at it. There's always a plan B. Talk to people who've been through what you've been through, and make that plan B. And sometimes plan B is way better than plan A, and you just can't see it when you're so focused on plan A. The last two things I'd tell you is communication is key. People want strong ideas. They want clarity. They want things to be made simple for them. So you can be so smart and have the best ideas in the world, but take the extra time to prepare so that you can really deliver that message. Whenever I come back from I go to a lot of drug meetings, and I'll come back from a meeting about the latest breakthroughs in cancer, and if I walked into my colleagues' rooms and I said, I think I heard some really interesting things about cancer, and I want us to buy stock XYZ, that's a very different message than saying, this is the most groundbreaking thing I've ever experienced in my professional life, and we do not own enough of this stock. That's how it's been for me, and I just don't underestimate the power of communication and sharing the wonderful ideas that you all have. And then the last lesson learned I have is that relationships are everything. Family, don't take them for granted. They're there for you, and you want to keep them in your corner. High school friends, college friends, job friends, It all takes, it's a mosaic of people that are there cheering you on, who understand some element of your life, to remind you of where you were and how you're grounded. It's so important. So I'm just going to leave you with a quote that was from the famous General Douglas MacArthur, who died a year before I was born. But he said something that I felt like really encapsulated all the lessons learned that I want to share with you today, which is, the best luck of all is the luck that you create for yourself. So go get them.
Now, you heard 3 outstanding messages, and I hope what you take from this is that for all 3 of these successful persons, nothing was ever easy, but all of your goals can be reached if you are willing to work hard, you're willing to commit to something, dedicate yourself to it, and then make sure that nobody outworks you at it. You also will see a common theme from all 3 of these people. They were all involved in high school activities. They were all in the National Honor Society. So not only did they work hard in the classroom, but they worked hard outside of the classroom. And that's why they're so successful in their lives and in their careers. And I believe now that Mr. Vass is going to take this over. And hopefully we have enough time to have a few questions if any of you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. I think you took my notes, so I'm just going to have to wing it here for a while. One of the things that really struck me is the connection our distinguished alumni had to their teachers. So at this time, I'd like Mrs. Wysong-Krentz to come up, and she has a gift from the Forest Hills Education Association to give to them.
My name is Myra Wysong-Krentz, and I'm a teacher here at Forest Hills High School. Been here for many years, and I'm an officer of FHEA, which is the Forest Hills Teachers Union. Thomas Alva Edison, the founder of General Electric and the inventor of the light bulb and the phonograph, is credited with the statement, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." In fact, Edison was known to work on a project for up to 72 hours without stopping to sleep. When you read the biographies of our distinguished alumni today, you realize that they haven't always taken the time to sleep either. They have worked hard and had a passion for their work. They've embraced new challenges and changes along their way, and as a result, they have succeeded. These alumni show that you can take a Forest Hills education, mix it with a strong work ethic and a persevering spirit, and do great things. So, as a token for the teachers, both past and present, of Forest Hills, and you move me for tears whenever you mention some of those names because I've worked with some of those people. We have a memento. It's actually a nice little figurine of our beloved high school, which I don't know if you realize is soon going to be torn down, so this really has special meaning, I hope, for all of you.
At this time, we're going to bring our ceremony in school to an end, but I would encourage all of you not just to attend the football game to see the football team play tonight, but our honorees will be once again recognized at halftime at the game. So if we could be there tonight, that would be great. So on behalf of Mr. Cost and myself, and really the entire Forest Hills family, we'd like to extend our congratulations to our distinguished alumni once again, and also their families for coming today. We'd also like to thank all the individuals who made today possible. A lot of work went into today, especially from the Alumni Association. This is a great thing that the association does, and it's nice to have people come back and share success stories, because a lot of what they say, I know we try to make happen here, so I do appreciate that. So another round of applause, please, for our